Welcome to Kelly Minds Her Manners, a podcast about real estate and entrepreneurship with a twist. Here's your host, Kelly Robinson.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Kelly Minds Her Manners. Today on the podcast, we have the pleasure of introducing you to Luke Auen, a top real estate producer and proud Bostonian with over 12 years of experience in the residential real estate industry. Luke is a colleague of mine. He is a member of the Curtis Group and has been recognized for his work, being named the top real estate producer by Bostonian magazine in both 2021 and 2022. Not only that, but Luke was also voted as part of the top 1.5% of small teams nationally in the Real Trends 2022 rankings, showcasing his expertise and knowledge of the Boston market. As part of the sports and entertainment division at Compass, Luke has had the pleasure to partner with some of Boston's top athletes. In fact, a few years back, Luke started a side business with two Boston Bruins players called March and Mill Co. March and Mill is an apparel brand that encourages people to get outdoors. The third season of their TV show with the same name premiered on March 26th on NESN. It is safe to say that Luke has been keeping very busy, but when he's not working, he loves to spend time with his wife, his two daughters, and his Australian Shepherd. Of course, as usual, I ask Kelly's fearless 5 questions at the end of the episode, as well as some audience questions. Does Luke answer or does he take his 2 passes? You're going to have to wait and find out. Everybody, Luke Auen, welcome. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'm super excited, especially because you're a colleague of mine, to have you here. And you have been so successful in multiple aspects of your life. And I think everybody's going to be really interested to hear what you have to say. So let's get started. First, just tell me your story. What interested you in real estate and how did you enter the industry and come to specialize in working with professional athletes?
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Kelly, for having me on. I'm super honored to be here and excited for our conversation today. As far as my story and getting into real estate, we'll go all the way back to when I was 17, just graduated high school, actually. I had taken a job with a developer in my hometown and started off doing a lot of like grunt work, sweeping up the homes, running errands for the contractors, things of that nature. And the developer wasn't the most tech savvy guy. So I started kind of doing all of his continued education for him and a few other things on the computer. And I said, geez, why don't I just get my real estate license at this point, right? So took the courses over that summer and then passed the test and then actually went off to college in Boston. So from there, I went to school for entrepreneurship. I didn't really do anything in like the real estate world for a few years. My senior year, I was walking home from class in the north end of Boston. There had been a real estate office that had just opened up, and it was beautiful, right? Like storefront, just street level. So I walked in and said, hey, I'd love to help out. Do you have an internship? Or I have my license. Do you have a role that I might be able to fill? And basically she hired me and said, yeah. And that's where it kind of took off. So from there, senior year of college, I had a lot of friends graduating and I did a ton of rentals over that summer, which was great. I just like grinded away like crazy, right?
Yeah, I feel like that's everybody's first year in real estate, grinding in the rental part of the business.
Yeah, you gotta dip your toes in, right? Get your feet wet. It's a good way to learn the business, right? I think a lot of, and what was unique about that experience was, which I think you don't see a lot or often today, is kind of the like having scheduled floor time. I don't know. Did you ever have to sit in and do floor time, like actually be there scheduled?
Yeah, my first real estate firm was a storefront, and I was running around doing rentals like you, because in New York City, probably similar to Boston, it's hard to break into sales when you're brand new. And yeah, we did have floor time. It was like 2 hours. You had to schedule your time, but that was the only storefront office I ever worked in 18 years.
Yeah, so same. So I think that's just such a unique process, and being, scheduled to be in the office with other agents, you pick up so much. And I'm just like shocked that new agents that come into the industry, like how they are able to kind of gain that competitive advantage with not having that experience, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important to join a team. That's what I did after my first year of making no money and running around and having like sweat stains all over me for running around in the summer doing rentals. And I was like, I got to get into sales. I need to join a team.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think, the hustle and the storefront thing to pick up clients is really important. So
yeah,
you did it the
yeah.
right way.
Yeah. Fortunate the way that it played out. As far as answering the second part of that question and working with athletes, so when my wife and I bought our first place in 2014 in a neighborhood of Boston called Charlestown, we bought it right next door to a Boston Bruins player, actually Kevin Miller, who I started March and Milko with. So this is about 9 years ago, give or take. And what was funny about that was we both have Australian Shepherds, right? So
Ah,
like the dogs became good friends right off the bat, and then our friendship started to form afterwards. But broke through it there. I built a lot of since I went to school in the city. I built a lot of like foundational relationships, even just from like the Celtics or the Red Sox. We were just literally downtown. So in the environment, and that's why I chose the school that I chose, was you're literally grabbing a coffee at Starbucks with maybe like a CEO of a company or something. And just to me, that was inspiring and motivating. And that's kind of the motto was you either network or you don't work, right? For the school. So I just kind of took that and ran with it. But yeah,
that's a
that's kind of
great
how.
motto for a school to have. And that's really smart that you knew that when you were so young, because so many people go to school, they don't know what they're going to do. They're not sure, how to network or, what's
Right.
important about meeting people in a random place. And that's really smart that you did that.
Yeah. Yeah. You should never take a relationship for granted, right? You never know who
Absolutely.
they know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as a sports and entertainment division member and myself, and I know that you have a lot of experience working with buyers and sellers in those industries just to be accepted into the division. But did being in Compass Sports and Entertainment Division lead you to many of your current relationships with pro athletes, or did you have most of those relationships prior?
Yeah, so kind of to piggyback off of how I got into, well, I guess sports and entertainment, not necessarily through Compass, but working with athletes.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I built those strong relationships and those pillars and the foundation, through the Bruins, through the athletes that I had worked with, and um, it's I think it says a lot when you get a repeat client or a referral from one of those, clients at that level.
Yeah.
I would say that where sports and entertainment has helped out a lot is kind of outside of the local market. So as you know, the division is awesome. There's wonderful people. I mean, the referral business is great, and it's basically like a family within a family,
Yeah.
right? Which, so that has helped that outside of the Boston market, as well as like credibility when it comes to, let's say like a sports agent or a financial advisor that has their client relocating to Boston that maybe is outside of that Compass network, right? So
Yeah.
they may see, they look me up and say, oh, he's part of sports and entertainment. I'm going to reach out to him, have a conversation, right? So
Hmm.
um, yeah.
Awesome. So tell me how March and Mill came about and what inspired you and your partners.
Yeah. So Kevin Miller and Brad Marchand, Kevin's now retired. Brad is currently playing. He's, top 5, top 10 player in the league. He's awesome. Basically, wanted to share their passion of hunting and outdoors off the ice with others. So they wanted to create like a brand around that, which I think it's really smart, for an athlete that has like a platform while they're playing. I think a lot of times athletes try to start something once they retire, and it's much harder. I understand that the time commitment for athletes to do something as a side hobby isn't necessarily always there.
Hmm.
Uh, but basically, we came together. and decided that we wanted to start an apparel brand, encouraging people to get outside. Um, and what I really like about it and where I kind of fit into it is I like the design aspect of it. So the marketing side, the photography, that's kind of where I fit in and helped out a lot. And my role has evolved throughout, to kind of more operational, and then even more so now, it feels like it's more relationship management, which is right up my alley, right?
Yeah.
So, um,
And I see
but
you're wearing some of your
yeah,
apparel. I love the hat. I think it's great. I
yeah,
might
thank you
I
so
might
much.
have to go and get one.
Oh, just let me know. I'll send you whatever you want. We're actually going
Oh,
through the
thanks.
process of launching our spring line along with the show. So we kind of do a spring
Nice.
line and a fall line right now every year, but that'll be out next week, which would be great. But sorry, I kind of digressed there a little bit
Oh,
on
that's okay.
how how it got started. Yeah, so we basically the full story behind it too is we didn't really know what we had, so we were kind of testing it and learning as we went. So the Boston Bruins do a fan fest every year before the season. So I said, hey, let's print up some t-shirts, let's do some hats, let's see how it goes, see if we have something here. I mean, it sold out to our surprise like super fast. We had to make another
Wow.
order, yeah, for the second round. And we're like, yeah, maybe we have something here. So we ended up building a website for it. Took it online. The sales were incredible. And then I don't know if you want me to go into how the TV show came about, or
Yeah, so I'm assuming the apparel brand came first then, because my next question was going to be what came first.
yeah,
But before you answer that, I love the logo. I think it's super cool, and so I can see why people would want to wear it. It's just very cool, and then obviously people who have a connection to hunting and outdoors and the Bruins and whatnot, would clearly want to be involved and wear your
yeah.
apparel. So yeah, how did the show come about?
Yeah, so then after our first year of selling the apparel, we all know March of 2020, right? COVID hits, right? Everything shuts down. Real estate world shut down. Sporting world shut down. I was fortunate during that time, and I hate to put any kind of positive on the COVID era, but I had the opportunity to spend a lot more time with Kevin and Brad. They weren't allowed to practice. They weren't allowed to do anything other than, you know, be outside, right? Social distancing. And what I recognized there was this like genuine natural banter between the two. And I was like, guys, like we can create some content around this, right? I have a real estate videographer that can come out and film this. We can put it on YouTube. We can, give the fans some engagement and kind of what they're looking for in a moment where there's nothing to consume, especially in the sporting world, right?
Yeah.
So put it up on YouTube, and next day I get a call from an executive at Nesson, which is New England Sports Network, and he basically said, do you have more of this stuff? Can you take that down? And we'd like to make you an offer. So
That's
that's kind of how.
awesome.
Yeah. I mean, we never in a million years would have imagined that the TV show would have been there. That we didn't even plan for that. So
Yeah, and I watched a little bit of it, and they do have a great banter. It's really interesting and fun and funny, yeah, engaging. So,
yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. Do you find that there are congruencies between March and Mill and your real estate business, or it has either helped with the success of either?
Yeah, there's a few, right? And one that comes to mind is building that like brand equity, right? That's so important for we kind of got away from that last year, to be honest. We started doing a little bit more like graphic tee stuff, and we're like, no, like at our core, like it's the broadhead logo, like you said, like it's dynamic, it's
Yeah.
so we kind of pivoted and leaned a little bit more into that. And same with real estate. It's all about building your brand, right? It's your reputation. It's and then I think there's things that I've kind of learned along the way, or that I guess I've noticed that you can bring kind of pass through to both, whether it's Marshall Mill or real estate, is like there's tough conversations, right? Whether it's like we're negotiating with a partner for something, or even negotiating a deal or a relationship, or kind of those parallels that kind of overlap, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you balance all of what you do and be successful at all of it with being family oriented?
Yeah, so I love this one because this is one that my wife and I are constantly trying to improve and tweak. But it basically comes down to our calendar, right? So being able to stay on top of that, I very much I block off 5 to 7 p.m. every day in my calendar, right? And my teammate in real estate, Jamie, he knows that, like, not to bother me during that time. That's dinner, that's bath, that's bedtime, that's quality
Yeah,
family time.
that's
Both for my
important.
wife. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And as you know, like real estate, we're often busiest on the weekends, right? So that's like kind of when most people have family time.
Yeah.
So to juggle that can be challenging, but we do live in the city. There's a lot of conveniences here. We try to plan out every weekend to do something, whether it's visit like a new cafe or go to the museum or the aquarium. And
Awesome.
that's kind of like where we get to create those memories and have kind of fun as far as the family goes.
That's awesome. So I have an audience question. What or who inspires you most and why?
Well, first and foremost, my wife. I tend to lean on her a lot. We both have very demanding jobs, so I'm so appreciative of her being there and helping me. But if I had to choose more of a like known figure, um, probably Walt Disney. I think that I kind of like a I guess unique person to say,
Yeah.
but um, yeah, just a man that had a vision. It all started with, a mouse, and he really just built this entire world that I think is motivating and inspiring for others. And it's kind of more so like, to be honest, like I've probably been to Disney 3 times in my life. So I'm not like one of those crazy a year or twice a year. But I think just more from like a visionary standpoint in like business and just creating something like remarkable, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's a great answer. And definitely something I didn't expect. But it's a great answer. So who's your favorite Disney character? Do you have one?
If I'm going like classic, I'd say like Donald Duck,
Oh,
right?
mine too. I love
Yeah.
Donald Duck. Yeah. Is there anything on your mind that you wish to share with the audience?
Yeah, yeah. For me, the one, I guess, takeaway that I'd want people to kind of, learn or whatever is my motto is approach is everything, right? So it's all about how you approach a situation. We've all been in situations where somebody hasn't done their part, something's fallen through, or things are going south. And I think it's all about how you react
Yeah.
that can dictate the outcome or the result, right? And I really try to like take an extra second to reread a text or an email or and just be like, what I wouldn't be on the receiving end of this, right?
Yeah. That's smart. And something that's really important, especially in real estate. You're dealing with people who are making an emotional purchase, one of the largest purchases of their lives, and they can maybe get emotional and send you a message, and you have to take pause and really be empathetic. So
Yep. Yeah.
um, I can relate to that. So we have an audience question from Arlo Zelikson, Arlo_BZ on IG. He said, "What is your favorite part of work in both companies?"
Oh, wow. Okay. For me, it's probably the marketing side of stuff. I really like to be creative. It kind of goes back to that like brand building and whether it's the graphic design or the photography, telling a story, right? Like
Mm,
Marshall Milko is a story,
yeah,
right? And every property has its own unique story. So if you can pull that out of the home and kind of get that message out. That's what I really like about both.
that's awesome. I love that. Okay, so now it's time for my fearless 5 questions. You get 5 questions and 2 passes. Are
Okay,
you ready?
let's do it.
Okay. Number 1. What is something you think other people value that you don't necessarily subscribe to?
Oh, geez. Alcohol.
That's a
That's
good
been a
answer.
it's been a more recent thing, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll stick with that or pass.
No, that's a good answer. What never fails to make you laugh?
My kids.
That's
Yeah.
good. What is number one on your bucket list?
I think Africa. It'd be Africa or space. Reason why I pause for space is I don't know if I don't really like amusement park rides, so I'm not really sure I could actually
Okay.
get like a rocket ship and go up, but we'll go with Africa.
I that's on my bucket list too, like safari.
All right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. That's on my list, man.
Yeah.
I hear so many great things. Would you rather travel to the past or the future?
Oh my God. This is probably the most challenging question because I love innovation and I think the future would be incredible. But imagine being, 100, 200 years ago and just experiencing what the world was like then
Yeah,
with no technology,
no
right?
cell phones, no apps.
Um, I love history too, so let's go with the past.
I kind of had a feeling you might say that because of, your interest in like telling a story and the history behind a home and everything else. I kind of had a feeling you might answer that way. What's the best advice you've ever received?
God, that's such a great question. Oh man, it's hard when you're put on the spot, you know?
It's okay. Everybody has to do it. You can pass
No,
if you want.
no. Sure, we'll pass.
Okay. Well, I is there anything else that you want to tell our audience before we wrap up?
I don't know. What do you think? I mean, I feel like to keep the conversation going a bit, if there's anything like sports and entertainment related or working with athletes, I think a lot of people think that it's super glamorous and it can
Hmm.
often have its challenges. And a lot of times you're trying to convince not just one person, but an entire team that it's a good purchase and
Yep.
protect them if they get traded or um, I find that what I can tell from like the Boston market, and I guess you're more entertainment than athlete, right? So
I've worked with a few athletes, but mainly people in the entertainment business because that's where I came from.
okay, yeah. Yeah, so like for me, just kind of like knowing the ins and outs and like the experience side of it is like, I'll see agents kind of post that they have worked with this person or this athlete, and I think they think that they're going to get business from that post, and I think it actually works in the reverse where the athlete is turned off or the celebrity is turned off by that, kind of exploiting that.
Yeah.
Um, it's not, my style whatsoever, and then you even see some agents that like will disclose the property address. And you're like, what are you doing? This is their sanctuary. This is their
Yeah.
place of privacy. So I think kind of those things is kind of what I you know, really try to drive forward as far as like, you know, not trying to push out so much of like the marketing side of that, right? Working with the athletes
Yeah.
and under, you know?
I completely agree. And I actually, if my clients don't give me an NDA, I give them an NDA because I want them to know that it's not about anything but helping them, or their manager or whoever my first point of contact is. I will give them the NDA and I'll be like, if you want me to sign this, let's sign it. If you have your own, send it to me. I'm here for you and this is your home and it should be private, transaction and a private place for you. I started doing that after many years ago. I was working with a very well known musical artist, and we'd found her a place in Soho, and it had a big back deck. And so I had done all of this work getting a privacy tent for her and everything approved by the building. And the day her manager was going to wire the money she was renting because she was just here recording for a couple of months, and the day the manager was going to wire the money, it came out in the post that she was going to be renting there with the full address, pictures of the apartment, and one of the doormen in the building had tipped somebody off And obviously she had to cancel the deal, and she felt so bad for me. And I was like, no, I feel bad for you. Obviously, like, let's find something without a doorman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just bring in your security if you feel like you have to. But I felt terrible for her because, it's just, you can't, the paparazzi would have been all over her home. You don't know who else. Somebody crazy might have been all over her home. I mean, the fact that they even put that in the news, that they even ran that story, bothered me.
Right.
Just invading her privacy so much. So I'm right there with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing that I think is different from a larger market like, say, New York or Miami or LA is like Boston. We don't really have like paparazzi or kind
Paparazzi,
of
yeah,
following. So, like that's the one thing that we have going for us. We don't have to worry
yeah,
about the doorman speaking to anybody because there's nobody to speak to
yeah.
um, most of the time. Yeah, yeah, and I think I'm curious how you because I know for a lot of the athletes, like they're so regimented and like superstitious on things. And like for me, I know I have to plan around game day schedules. I cannot bother them on game day,
Oh,
right? If I
yeah.
need signature for them or if I need something. So I'm actually curious, like how you with artists or actors and actresses, like how do you navigate that if they're filming for a week? Is it more just working directly with their managers or
Yeah, a lot of times it's working with with their managers or their attorneys who have power of attorney,
yeah,
things like that, to sign on their behalf, or whoever is on the other side of the deal understands that we can't bother them at this time, and they might just have to wait a day.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to hear, more about the sports side of things, because I've only worked with 3 professional athletes and the rest have really been entertainment people. But I know it's similar in a sense that a lot of times you start off working with managers and their kind of team of people.
right,
So it's definitely interesting, and being part of the sports and entertainment industry division is important for that reason, because we can refer people to other agents that understand how to work with those teams and what these people really need, and we trust that they're going to be, for the most part, quiet about the
yeah,
transaction, and it's really about the relationship.
yeah. Yeah, and it's seamless too, right?
Yeah.
Like let's just say, we're referring a client out to California, right? And it's like I have my local Boston mover that's helping,
Yeah.
organize and facilitate things, and then I ping someone in California that can help them out, and it's like, oh, by the way, here's the moving company direct contact, right? They
Hmm.
can meet them there if the client, isn't going to be there before the moving truck or
Yeah.
whatever set up. And like it really is just this like incredible network that we have and benefit, I think, too, to
Yeah.
the client, right? Because you have two
Absolutely.
people that know each other as far as the agents go, and the client is going to be in the best hands and taken care of. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of times and I can speak just to the athletes, like taking this pressure off of them and stress as far as like a move, because let's
Hmm.
be honest, it's stressful to move, especially these
Absolutely.
families, kids and everything, and maybe new schools and all this. Like it can be a lot. So if we can just kind of, take one thing off of their to-do list,
Yeah.
um, I think that they really appreciate it and they notice it too. So
Absolutely. Well, I hope we have the opportunity to work together at some point on a deal. I would love to send you anybody that I might have. I think that you have a great ethical, way about you and values, and you're really relationship oriented. So I would be proud to refer somebody to you. And
thank you.
I'm really happy that you took the time out of your very busy schedule with everything that you're doing to come on and speak with me and to inspire our audience. And where can people find you? Give us your handles, give us your website, everything.
Yeah. Okay. So personal Instagram is at Luke Auen, which is Auen. Marsh and Milko on Instagram at Marsh and Milko. Think that. Oh, I guess we could do a plug for Kicks a Compass too, right?
Oh
Which
yeah.
we actually need to get you on. I like always forget about my like third little
I don't have
baby.
any Nikes. I I know that's like your favorite brand on Gigs a
Well, I
Compass.
mean, Adidas, Nike, Reebok, honestly, like I think it just the popular, it's probably 80-20, right? 80% of people have Nikes, and then 20% is all the other brands.
I have like Chanel and Golden Goose. I don't think those are cool for
Do the
kicks of
Golden Goose.
combat. I will.
Do the
Okay.
Golden Goose. I love. We just actually reposted a Golden Goose. So I feel like do that all day long. But yeah, at Kicks of Compass. So again, another side hobby. It's just kind of how my mind works, and wanted to bring together, similar to like sports and entertainment, but agents within Compass that are sneakerheads, and passionate sneakers, which I think has been a lot of fun, and I think we've had quite the following when it comes to the retreats and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun, and I think now that I'm actually like talking to you about it too, is like the reason why I like sneakers so much, again, goes to like the story behind them, right? So we talked about that with like the Holmes and Martian Mill and all this other stuff. Is each sneaker is unique and has a story behind it, whether it was the flu game that Michael Jordan played in a certain sneaker, or just so yeah, sneakers are kind of my world too. So
yeah, and you love the story. You love the story behind everything. I love that. That's super cool.
Yeah,
I think I know what I'm going to name this podcast.
The story.
Yeah. So awesome. Well, thank you so much again. It was really fun speaking with you and getting to know you. That's really what inspires me about doing this, is getting to know other people's story, people that I respect and admire. So yeah, I really appreciate your time, and I can't wait for the podcast to air.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kelly. I really appreciate it as well.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you for watching and listening to Kelly Minds Her Manners. Make sure to subscribe to the show, and don't forget to leave us a review to tell us what you liked about the episode. You can connect with Kelly at Kelly Minds Her Manners on Instagram and TikTok, or on our website, www.kellymindshermanners.com.